I'm out today for a quick cast with legendary Lewis fly tyer John Maclean, who's, I don't know if you can see him, he's over there. And even more amazingly is that I think he has just landed a fish. Which gives me some hope now, because I've just started casting and so has he. And it looks like he's already had a fish that I can see. I'm not quite sure, but anyhow. So I'm starting with one of John's loch shrimps on the top and one of his leggy silver goat's toes on the point, as is only right. And we'll see if we can move a fish here. And I'm just going to work these wee points along here, so I'll not stay on this one for too long before I move to the next one. I'm picking my way out here over the stones. And even some of the quite big stones are quite rocky, you know. And apart from anything else, I don't like making the noise. However, this looks like a good spot. I like this place. So I'll get some line out here for another cast. There we go. And there's a nice wave off there as well. So although the wind is extremely cold, I quite like the wave, you know. Funny, the warmer weather back towards the start of the week, you know, starting to see wee flies and stuff about, but I'm not seeing anything today. Now that it's cold enough for snow, you know, it's obviously everything's staying under cover today. There's a few rocks out there I can see. I can't cast very far into that wind, but we'll see if we can, you know, maybe just move the flies along the wee drop off. Oh, not having that. So I'll move along the coast a bit, I think. It's quite sort of rocky and tricky here in places, but I want to fish into those two stones you can see out in the water. But first of all, I'm going to put a few casts to them from here before I go round there and disturb the place, you know. And I see John over there, he's doing a wee bit of wading. I don't think you really need to wade very deep, but a pair of welly boots even are helpful on this loch, just because, as you can see, maybe you can't from the GoPro, but the bank rise is quite steep behind them, so it's good to be able to step a few yards off the bank, you know. So I've moved along just a wee bit further on these rocks, and I'll give it some more Dixie here. You know? I want the fish just into these two wee rocks you see standing here out in the water, because although there's a decent, well, they look like they're standing there alone, but there's a decent wee depth of water in and round them, so it's worth dropping the fly sort of in their general direction, just to see if there's anything lying around them, you know, because trout often like something like that, as does a salmon, you know. There aren't any salmon on this loch, by the way, but I was merely commenting on this matter. I wasn't expressing any hope of catching a salmon here. So I'm starting to feel like a cup of tea and the wee snack might not be out of order here. I'm feeling the hunger with all my efforts. So John has gone up onto the top bank and I've come round here to give it a wee bash, and we had a cup of tea, and he did indeed have a fish, a decent fish too, nice looking fish, and he had it on the Barvas crippler. Now, I don't have the Barvas crippler on just at the minute, though, as you would know, I'm a big fan of it. I think it's a fly that's hard to beat for the trout, but I might put it on in a minute or two. But at the minute, I've got the loch shrimp still on the top, and a sort of a very blue fly on the point that John gave me, that I think was designed by an excellent Lewis angler by the name of John Murdo, who so John had tied up this fly, but I think John Murdo designed it, came up with a pattern, and I thought I would give it a try in here. The drop off here is not very far out, just out a sort of a rod's length or so. So I don't really need to cast out that very far, but sometimes it's useful just to put the flies along the drop off a bit before I go and walk on the area, And again, I'm just standing in a few inches of water here just because it gives me a foot or two out from the bank, because the bank's high and relatively close, Oh, hit the bank behind me just. So. I think what I'll do is maybe change the fly and then go down the next wee bit of bank. See how that goes, It's also contemplating me with the cold wind, a sinker, but we'll see. So I had a wee roll there. I don't mean that I rolled about in the heather. I mean I ate a roll, containing like ham and things, and changed the flies. So I've now got a Barvas crippler on the top and a grass grabber on the point. Give them a wee run out. Run down this wee bit of bank with them maybe, just relatively quickly, try and keep moving. See if I can find a fish that might be willing to come up for one of them, you know. John, who tied the flies and who's fishing over at the top end of the loch there, John had a fish earlier on the Barvas crippler, so it seems worth putting it on, you know. And it is a fly that I've been a big fan of for the trout. It's done really well for me for trout, and John was saying it's doing pretty well for him for them as well, so that's a good thing, you know. See, this bit of the bank gets a bit rocky and slidey, you know, after it being more comfortable to stand on. But again, I'm trying to stay just a few feet out from the edge, just because the bank is so close behind me. It's just to give me that wee extra foot or two of clearance for the casting. It's not really necessary for the actual fishing, you know. So I've come back up here onto the top end of the loch. Give it a wee try here. I'm still on the Barvas crippler and the crest crabber. So see if we can't move a wee fish here. So far, hasn't been a super productive day, you know. Though I was talking to John, and he has had another fish, so he's had two now, which, to be honest, is a good result for this loch most days anyhow, but is an especially good result today that it's, you know, cold north wind. I would say it's an impressive catch on a day like today. So I'm going to work my way around this wee point. See if there's anything off here that might interest in my flies. You just never know, you know. So I'm keeping moving along here, just dropping a wee cast in here and there, and there's a wee shower of rain just at the minute, So I hope this video makes sense, and I don't know how much of it I've lost, because my DJI camera, it's one of those DJI Action 5s, has crashed and shut down and done all sorts of weird things, and I've no idea why, but it has done this on me a few times now, so I don't know what gets lost or what happens or how it happens, but hopefully I'll get enough bits remaining to stitch together a video that makes sense. And even if I don't, you haven't missed anything, because I'm not catching anything. And you know, I've given it a fairly good bash, like. And I will confess that it is very cold. I mean, single figures, and I'm wearing the buffalo insulating layer and whatnot, you know, so it is very cold. But even so, sort of hopeful might have at least moved one fish by now, you know. So I've changed back to the loch shrimp and the Barvis crippler again, and I'll give them another wee outing, but I'm starting to feel like it's pretty hopeless. But we'll see how it goes. It has certainly not been a productive day, and I've been, you know, I've done a fair bit of fishing. Like, some days I don't really do much fishing, I'm too busy drinking tea and stuff, but today, you know, I've had to fly in the water for a fair amount of time, I would have said. So I think I'm getting to the point of giving up, calling it quits for the day. See John over there on the point next to me, I think. So I may go over and see him, see what he thinks. Well, as you can see, I've certainly not had a productive day in terms of the catching. Been a good day out though, nice to get out. And nice to see John, you know. And of course, if you're looking for flies, especially if you want to fish on Lewis, he's the man to talk to. But, well, early in the season, with a cold northerly wind, I never do very well, but to be fair, John has had a fish, or 2 fish, I think. So, you know, it's not completely impossible.